I know my worth, and now he calling me. Why do I feel like this? What's happening to me? Oh, oh, oh. Am I ready? Ain't no doubt. Am I ready? What you talking about? Am I ready?
Just a trigger warning for today that we will be discussing alcohol and drug misuse.
Let's see. There we go. Okay, right. So welcome everybody to this podcast. I'm so excited for this to be the very first one. This is something I've wanted to do for such a long time. So I've got an amazing guest on today. This is Char. We've both decided that to describe Char, she's a controversial anarchist. I think that best describes Char. She's an amazing lady. I've not even met Char in person. I've only met you on a workshop, wasn't it, online?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she was doing her healing work. She was doing was it shamanic drumming?
Shamanic drumming, probably, yeah. I think you're on that.
Yeah, even through that, I could just feel this big energy. I was like, I've got to have her on a podcast. So, yeah. So, welcome, Char. So, amazing first guest to have on. And Char wants to talk about something very close to her heart. And it's something that obviously I've got some background in as well, some experience, but I'll just let Char speak a wee bit about what it is she's wanting to talk about and why she wants to bring some awareness to this topic.
Amazing. Thank you for having me, first of all.
You're welcome.
Well done for doing this. This is cool.
Thank you.
I love podcasts, and it's great to give people a platform to speak about whatever they feel is going to help the greater good of humanity. So
definitely.
Well done.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me. I want to talk about addiction. For myself, it would be, well, all addiction really, but mainly codeine addiction, because I feel like codeine, because I had codeine addiction for many, many years, and I feel like codeine addiction gets swept under the carpet, or it's like socially acceptable, or people don't realise they're getting hooked because the doctors give them it. Mm-hmm. For me, it was the worst. The worst drug.
Really?
Yeah, because it's opiate, so yeah.
And have you had obviously trouble with other addictions in the past before that, or was that like your kind of first?
Oh no, I was yes, I think I was born like that. I grew up an athlete, and I was very much put into like the limelight, the karate. I was fought for Scotland and
oh my God,
NFL cheerleader and stuff like that. So quite a big grown up life and the limelight type thing. And I think what happened for me is it just one day I just went boom, and enough was enough, and I went off and running. And I was just a party girl, but I took everything to extremes. So not like, your normal party girl. Stop. Not me, no. Yeah. The next best thing. Excuse me. So, yeah. That's how it kind of all started. And the opiates, painkillers, cocodamol, that started when I was 25. I was trying to think earlier what age I was. 25, and I'm 40 now. And I only just came off them. It was last year, at the end of last year.
Wow. So that's been like a very long while to battle with that.
Yeah, totally took over my life. So that's painkiller addiction.
And so how did that like start out for you? Like what
started out with, I hurt my back. I had a back I still do have a back injury from it was when I was doing karate years ago, apparently, when the physio told me that it was a mechanical back problem. I've probably got that wrong. I can't remember what it's called. But basically being overstretched as a child.
Right.
And my back's weird. My back's weird. My back's a bit like weak at times, right? And the doctors prescribed me the cocodamol for it. And I remember taking the first, I think I took the first two, and I was in work, and I was loving it. So this is brilliant. What a buzz.
Yeah.
The doctors give you this.
The doctors a doctor that actually gave me this and said it's okay to take, and like,
and it's just like, it's very hard to explain, because when I took it, it's hard to remember as well that far back, but when I when I first started taking them, I just remember thinking, this is an amazing buzz. Like, this is obviously something that's, I don't remember thinking that back then, but now I remember. Now what I'm getting all muddled up. What I'm saying, what I mean is I know now why I took it, to repress feelings and all that. But back then, I didn't realise. You know, I was just loving the effects it gave me. But then that got to the point where it was like 27, when I was 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and then I was living my life by the clock. To the point where I was manic if I couldn't get them and all that. It was awful, awful, and the anxiety that came with that was just
just totally like ruling your life, kind of thing.
Ruling my life. I can't believe I can sit here today and say I'm not addicted to them. Well, I probably do still have the addiction to them. That probably never goes away, but I'm not relying on them. That's what I mean. Like that weight. Thank God. Like, thank God.
Well done, you. Honestly, it's something like I honestly didn't even know about until, God, maybe about 6-7 years ago, like the opiate kind of addiction, and it was like through somebody in my family who had that, and I was like, I'm a bit kind of questioning now. Like, at first, I was just like, I'm quite an observant person, and I was like, right, this is becoming quite a pattern now, and I don't feel like this is normal. Like,
yeah,
maybe like, so kind of questioning why do you need to do that every day, kind of thing, and then obviously like realizing how bad like and easy it is to get addicted, and then how long term people are getting addicted for.
Oh, it's insane. It's like, and the thing is, I think it's so socially acceptable as well, and I think, well, I know from my own experience that it is an opiate at the end of the day, you know, and an opiate, as much as you think like at the start, oh, this is fun, right? I'm actually going to say this to anyone that's listening that might be in my shoes back then. Like, when you first take them and you go, this is fun, or, you know, oh, this is fun, because I was taking them for all the wrong reasons, you know, even though I had a back pain, but that's not why I took them. I took them because I enjoyed the buzz.
Definitely go back into that later.
Yeah, I enjoyed the buzz. So for anyone that's listening, like, it's genuinely, it was the hardest thing to come off of. Like, honest to God, it took me years to sort this, and it's just, I'm so passionate about talking about it, because I just don't feel like codeine addiction is spoke about enough.
No, I totally agree. Obviously, seeing that like firsthand with somebody that I'm really like close with, like, it's scary, and you're like, fuck, like, this is like a pure silent addiction almost. Like,
yes, that's a great way to put it. That is an amazing way to put that, a silent addiction, because I was
because it's so normalised. Like, it's so normalised because you think like just because you're getting prescribed it, like, it's all right.
Exactly, Steph. That's exactly it.
And like, what was like the kind of symptoms of like being addicted to it? Like, what would you feel if you didn't take them?
Oh, shakes, sweats, can even go to the toilet, complete withdrawal feelings very quickly. That's why you needed to keep topping up.
And see, am I right in saying, is the opiate like drug like part of
heroin?
Is that what that comes? So
so it's the same line of family.
Same line,
Codeine.
That just shows you like how easy it can be. And
honestly, man, it was like, it just grips you. It grips you, man, in a hold that you're trapped, and you just feel. Honestly, man, and the thing is, it's so dangerous, and I'm so lucky I'm sitting here alive telling this story, because see, when I think back to the amount I took, I don't know how I'm still alive.
God, and and obviously I don't really know much about that, but what, like, can you overdose on them? Can you take too many? Like, what
because the cocodamol that I was taking was cocodamol with paracetamol, so paracetamol in it.
Right.
But there was also other codeine tablets, but just had codeine only in them and stuff like that. But for me, it was mainly the cocodamol.
And like, can you take too much of that? Can you?
Yeah, because there's paracetamol in it, you can.
Also, is that what
the
causes that?
cocodamol has got paracetamol in it. There is tablets just codeine only, but the ones that I was hooked on was codeine and paracetamol.
Right. God, it's honestly, it's crazy that people just get, this is what scares me, like prescribed things for like back pain or something, and then that person's just hooked, and that's that.
It.
And that's
and I didn't realise I had an addiction, man. Like I didn't realise early on. I just thought I was a nut job. Well, I am a nut job, right? But I remember me and my friends used to take them all the time. The two of us would just have such a laugh, you know, and work and all that. But then when it got to this point where I realised I was doing it sneakily without people knowing, was
oh God, that's
the people that knew me close and the people that I worked with closely, they knew, right? Because you can't really hide it. You're in a close proximity to people. In any other situation, it was a hidden addiction. Because it was so easy to go up to my bag. Oh, I feel a bit funny. I'm due, and then I'd look at the time and I'd go like, oh, I'm way overdue. That's why I feel funny. That's what it is. Sneak up the back, gub some tablets, come back. Oh, look at me, I'm normal again. Because that's what it done to me. It made me feel normal.
And so do you think it just kind of took the edge off of how you were feeling that day, or do you think it just kind of mellowed you out or numbed you?
It just because I was hooked on them for all the years, the minute I put that back in my system, I felt normal again.
Yeah. Like
totally dependent on them. But in my mind, psychologically, I thought it was making me feel better. Well, actually, in a strange way, it was, because I was going withdrawal quickly.
Because your body obviously just craves more of what you're kind of making important or giving it. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
And how hard was it to come off them? Like
the hardest thing I've ever done.
You're joking.
No.
And did you get help for that, or did you literally just?
Well, this is the first time I've actually spoke about it on an open platform.
Right.
I have spoke about it in closed platforms, people and stuff like that, but never on an open platform. No, I just I went to Cocaine Anonymous.
Okay.
And went through that to help.
Amazing.
I could probably go that. I'll maybe leave that bit till later, but
definitely.
So what I done was I reduced them from. I've actually still got my schedule in my phone of how I done this. I did it very slowly, and a lovely sponsor of mine at the time said to me, "It took you many years to build a habit, so just." It took you many years to build a habit, so don't rush.
No, I totally get it.
Like, that was lovely woman, lovely advice. And I remembered that, and I probably done it slower. In fact, I know I done it slower than what the doctors would probably say, but I done it slow to help. It's what I could handle, just half at a time.
Slow and steady wins the race, I suppose. But they say the same thing about like alcoholics too. Like you're not supposed to just come straight off of.
Yeah.
And I think that's because it puts your body into some sort of shock or something. I think
it's because like your system's that used to having it, that the minute you stop, exactly, you can go if you go into a coma or anything. I done 90 days at a time, which is totally extreme, but I am an addict, so everything I do is extreme. Even coming off cocaine was extreme. So, was it 90 days? It was 90 days. I took one off, right, like at night. If anyone's listening to this, don't take my advice, not to the doctor, go to the doctor, right? But I done it, like I took one off at night, and then I done that for 90 days. 90 days to change a habit, I think they say.
No, I think that's right, yeah.
Right, well, it worked for me. And then I found it quite difficult coming off one at a time. So I then done it to half 90 days, half 90 days, half. In the first 10 days or whatever, I was not good at all, really bad, shaking in my bed, shivering, sweating. And but see, when it got past 21 days, 30 days, 30 days, you forgot about it.
You forgot about it?
Yeah. Your brain get used to it. And then I just carried on doing that over and over and just constantly done it. I've still got the whole thing in a wee app on my phone.
obviously
documented everything.
right, that's probably good to reflect back on, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing if you've said that you've obviously had addictions with other things and like this has been the hardest thing for you to come off of. Like that's amazing that you've managed to say that you've done it. Like so like well done on that. That's
for me, it was the main one that, like they say, what's your drug of choice type thing, right? Well, I was just, something a party animal. But for me, that was my, like, the one that got me, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one that took a right hold of me, man.
Hold of you. And that's something I wanted to go back to, how you were saying that you're obviously taking it to the sort of party extent as well. And like, I think this part of the conversation is going to be quite controversial, but I feel like it needs to be spoken about because I just know far too many people, and not even that I know them, I just know that it's going on in the world. Yep. And I just feel like it just gets sideswept under the carpet, and there's so much mental health out there these days that are on the floor, and I don't think people are being quite honest with themselves and their lifestyle choices, and you know that's probably not helping. But if you're saying you took it for the partying aspect and also to kind of numb feelings, mm-hmm. like why were you doing that? Why were you choosing to take drugs to numb? What do you think like it done for you?
To start with, for me, it was a lifestyle. I know that sounds mad, mm-hmm. but to start with, it was a lifestyle. I lived in Ibiza.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. So it was like a life. It's all I knew. It was, to me, it was normal. Mm-hmm. But then that party, and it was all fun. Went to dark places. Went to dark places, man. Very dark places, and only a certain amount of people out of my friends group are alive today. A lot of them are not here anymore and stuff. So it went to dark places when I lived down in Birmingham.
Wow. Yeah.
But, you know, it was like, it was always one thing or the next, you know, one or the next, this, that. It was just my lifestyle. I didn't know any better. I didn't know, it was just the way I was, man. I know I'm an addict, like through and through I'm an addict. Mm-hmm. But the lifestyle that I lived, especially with cheerleading and stuff like that, I know that was athletics, but I was the lifestyle that came with that was mad.
I can imagine, like.
And then Ibiza, and then I moved to Birmingham where I met my boyfriend, and down there was kind of where I done a lot of stuff that I don't really talk about. But the reason I'm, you know, it's a geographical addict. I was your typical geographical addict. I mean, I went everywhere, and then I moved to Costa del Sol after that because I thought that would fix my problems. So for me, that's all I knew. And then it wasn't until round about 27, I think, ish, that I realised, whoa, actually everything just came hitting me at once. Like anxiety, like all this feelings, and I'm like, what is happening to me?
And it's just, and do
you
think
caught up with me?
Yeah, do you think, like, did you do your own sort of healing work before you kind of noticed that and then realised that you were taking these things to help numb the pain?
What happened was in 2000, I'm rubbish with dates, excuse me, 2015, I think it was. That's when I realised something wasn't quite right. And then I realised I had an addiction to codeine, you know, like, I'm sure that's the date, whatever, I don't know. But, and then, like, I was just, all of a sudden, mental health issues, boom, like, out of the blue, out of nowhere. And that's when my codeine addiction got a lot worse.
It all does catch up with you, I feel like, when you've went through that kind of thing.
And then I started doing the healing work, like, because, you know, you search when you feel like that, you're like, I need to search for something that's going to help me.
Something else that will work, but you don't know what it is. And then I think a lot of people do find, you know, that spirituality, healing work, kind of shadow work thing, but a lot of people don't really know about it either.
Well, I done a lot of that, but I done a lot of that when I was during lockdown. During lockdown, I think was a great awakening for a lot of people.
1,000,000%.
I did do meditation prior to lockdown, right? But during lockdown is when I completely changed my life.
Exactly the same. I had a literal mental breakdown during lockdown. And then realised I had all these horrible things inside that I had to process and get rid of, and I'm still working through it. But my God, it was like I'll need to do another podcast on this, that dark night of the soul. It was like that. And I was just like, oh my God, something's got to give here. Like, all this was just coming up. I think because like lockdown gave a lot of people the time to go inwards and have a good think, because there was so much time.
Yeah. Can I say something? I don't think you had a breakdown. I think you had a breakthrough, my dear.
No, that's actually definitely a good way to look at it, because I just felt like all this stuff had to come up and out, and going through, like, again, like as you said, like some really bad dark points in your life, and it needs to come out somewhere. Like, and I think what I was going to say earlier on, the kind of controversial thing, a lot of people are numbing their problems with drugs these days, and I don't think we think that they are. Would you say that most people that are kind of addicted to drugs, like say like your kind of coke users and everything else, would you say that they are trying to hide something?
I think a lot, I can't speak for other people, but from my own experience, like a lot of it comes down to trauma. Like, I can only speak for myself, you know, I can't really speak for other people, but a lot of it comes down to trauma, like, you know, there's a void missing, or sometimes, you know, I've had experiences with people, an ex, it can be, you know, a case of an accident happens and you take opiates, and then that leads to heroin. So that's something that I've had to live with, as well as a heroin addict. And that was literally what happened with that. So they're all right now, you know, I think. So
that's good.
So a lot of it, it can come from trauma, or it can just happen like that, what happened to the person.
Yeah, like they can, again, with the person like who I knew, I don't even know for them what it was, but I think I don't even know, like, do you know, like who knows, like, actually who knows, like, it could be anything really. And
think about it, you get a taste for something, it's that obsession in it, like that. You get I'm trying to take my mind back to when I used to do stuff, right? So you get like that, and all of a sudden you're free. You know, all of a sudden you're just like, oh my God, nothing bothers me anymore, right? That's like glamorizing it, to be honest. But that's then, now being my age that I am now, which is 40, I can now look back and I know, okay, I see why I done that. I've done a lot of healing work on myself majorly, but I'm still always healing because I'm never healed. And going through all the, you know, re-imprinting, you know, shadow work, as you said, stuff like that, and just really taking a look at myself and realising, you know, what needs to change and what doesn't. I had a bit of I don't really like the word awakening, but I had many awakenings, but I had one that was just out of the blue, like, you know, just, I don't know how to explain it. So I think,
and that was like,
I'm going off topic. I always do this. You need to keep me on track.
That's like what I was about to say. Like that. So that was like your kind of turning point. You just kind of everything coming ahead, kind of thing.
The turning point for me was when the gas explosion happened in my house.
Right.
That's when That's when I was on like my knees. You know, that's when I went. And I started doing a lot of deep healing work, shamanic work myself and all that. Not on my coach. Yeah. And training in that, and something came through really strongly. You know, like, you're taking these tablets, man. You're practicing shamanism. What you doing? And I'm like, I know. Like, I'm talking to my guides, and I'm like, I know. And all of a sudden, it was like, we need some more things.
Amazing. It's wild, isn't it, actually, when you get the wee kind of downloads of like,
it was just like
your higher self's like floating above you, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you
ready now? Are you ready now? Yeah. Are you finished?
Yeah, how many lessons do we need to show you? That's it.
I know.
Crazy.
I don't know. I think a lot of people did say that I chose the wrong time to come off opiates when I was going through a massive trauma. Well, but I mean, I don't know. It just felt like it happened kind of organic. I don't know. It happened like I was done.
I think maybe as well, with it being such a horrible like tragedy for you, like, you probably just was putting everything in perspective, like what we were talking about the other night about non-attachment, and you said that you thought you'd practice non-attachment until you lost everything.
Exactly. I love non-attachment now. It's my favourite
Yeah.
thing to talk about.
No, I love it. Like, it's very hard for people to do, but that's probably another podcast actually in itself.
Definitely.
And what would you say if you're comfortable talking about it, was like your lowest point?
This is going to be a bit controversial, what I'm going to say, actually.
Bring it on.
Addiction-wise.
Mm-hmm. Put you on the spot here.
No, it's cool. I like it. I've had a couple, you know, like the lowest point was probably a time in my life when I was, you know, in the depths of, I've got a hair and it's literally hanging here, right? And it's like, it was really annoying me. I think it was from a makeup brush. It's dangling here. My lowest point was probably when I was in Birmingham. And I was just in the depths of it, you know, in the thick of it. That was my lowest point. My mum came and got me and brought me home and stuff like that. That was probably my lowest point. That's all I'll probably say on that, because I've just, it's in the past, you know, but and I like to leave it there. But just put it this way, everything got too much, too much drinks, too much drugs, constant way of life, just too much of everything, in a very toxic relationship with that.
And that can be almost enabling as well, I think.
Oh yeah, the two of us were addicts, so it was madness. I mean, you wouldn't even recognise me back then, by the way. I'm the same person, right? I'm no changed, but like I'm totally different. It's weird.
Totally different.
Yeah, and so probably the other lowest point was when I went into the rooms of recovery. I had brilliant experiences in there, though, I have to say, and I have met some lovely people and some lovely friends. So I'm not telling anyone, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it does, right? But for me, in my truth, I had a very bad experience in these rooms. Obviously, I'm not going to name anyone because anonymity. But whilst I was withdrawn from codeine and going through living in a homeless flat, I got involved with a couple of the wrong people. And that for me was the hardest. No, it was a lesson because now I sit back and I observe what happened.
Right.
This one individual basically tried to ruin my life, right? Created lies, all this, blah, 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 blah. And you know me, I'm in tune.
Yeah.
I already knew.
Yeah.
What was eating away at me. Right. And but I let it eat away at me, you know. I let that person's lies have an effect on me, but I'm a human being at the end of the day, and I've got feelings, and these lies were very bad. I'm not going to go into that, but these were the extreme where someone's literally trying to target me. So that actually sent me off on a major relapse. Not their fault. I mean, let's not blame anyone here, right? I'm the one that chose to pick up the drink again after years, and I was back on the whiskey, back on the rum. But, you know, it taught me a great lesson. So the reason I just brought that up there is because, you know, when anyone goes into these recovery rooms, just be very wary of who you're getting involved with. Please, because not everyone's got your best intentions at heart. And I thought that person was a friend, and they stole my peace for a while. But, you know, listen, it's been restored, and I'm the one that can sleep at night with my head on the pillow. Conscience is clear. But, you know, unfortunately, they're just unwell. So
I think, God, thank you for sharing that, because that's
the reason I left that recovery. And I went on to it's the same kind of recovery, but just a different group of people. And that was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Good. So
Spiritual Gangsters is a great recovery place. If anyone wants to join, I highly recommend it. They use the big book of AA, 12-step program. Fantastic.
Amazing. That's so good. So you've had the full kind of, the full light and the dark kind of experience of even like...
I've never felt so sick in all my life when I was going through that, like mentally. I'm like, whoa, this is meant to be a place where, and it is, I'm not saying this about everybody, but you know, certain ones, but this for me is meant to be a safe space.
Safe space.
And for me, it was just with these certain people, toxic, and I'm like, why am I involved in this? Like, what is the universe trying to teach me here? Like, what I was talking to my friend, like Ash, and she's like, the universe has got to be trying to show you something here.
Yeah, like what's the lesson? But was that like just somebody that was in a room with you recovering, or was that an actual kind of coach person that was?
No, it's someone else that was recovering. It wasn't just one person, there was more than one. But it is what it is, you know, like it's done now, and it taught me a great lesson, you know, just to be careful with who you, just be careful, you know, like just be careful. There's a lot of predators in the rooms, man.
I know, and everybody's going through their own volume of whatever they're going through, and like you don't know what that person's going through, but at the end of the day, I know you're not supposed to really take what anybody says in, because you're in charge of your own reaction, but you are only human at the end of the day, and especially if you're very vulnerable and feeling very fragile and you're trying to get better. Like, I mean,
I never like to class myself as vulnerable, right? But like I'm so not like that, right? Like I'm a Scorpio, I'm a nut job, right? But when I actually look back, I was actual, because I was coming off of these tablets, man, and it was sending me mad. Like, I didn't know. Bearing in mind, I was 39 then, I think. 39. And I was on these since I was 25. So it's like, you know, that was at the end of it as well. That was just at my last final 2 tablets, I remember.
Jeez.
And that was the hardest 2 to come off of psychologically. Whoa, the hardest.
God. The last 2 you took?
The last 2, I was down to taking 2 a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at night.
And do you think it was
the hardest 2 to come off of?
Do you think it's because you told yourself, like, this is the last 2, or did you not tell yourself that would be the last?
I knew, because I was doing that thing where I was journaling it. So I was down to 1 in the morning and 1 at night from about 35 a day.
No wonder, like, your brain's just like, well, that's you after this. Like,
because my brain's going, what now?
Yeah. Especially when you're saying you've got that kind of addictive kind of mentality as well.
Aye. Oh, 100%. But codeine addiction is very close to my heart, and I really want people to know that, you know, if you do feel like you have, if you do feel like it's taking a hold of your life, if it's controlling your day-to-day, everything you do, if it's controlling your emotions, because I felt so shit when I didn't have them, and then when I had them, I had this personality that was like, I worked in a salon, and I was like, hey, everyone, that's Paul's talking, man.
That's the thing. Me. People take that at the weekend and they think, oh my God, it's great, I pure love who I am, but it's like fake confidence. Like, it's completely and utterly, like, do you actually even know you as a person? Like, stripped away from, like, drink and substance, like, do you actually know who you are as a person? I think that's
very addiction's a terrible thing. It's absolutely, it's very sad, like, for, you know, that I just think it's the people that conquer it, you know, my hat goes off to them.
Definitely.
Because,
complete
you know, it ain't easy, you know what I mean?
And I was going to ask as well, so obviously you're going through like the addiction programs and stuff, and having support, like, what do you think for people out there that could be watching this thinking, oh God, like, this is resonating, like, what's the first kind of stage of wanting to seek out help? Like, what do you think you kind of have to?
Thing is, are you ready? Like, do you want to change?
So like,
simple. Like, you really have to want to do it first and foremost. That gift of desperation where you're on your knees and you just can't do it anymore. There's lots of different recovery programs. There's obviously AA, CA, NA. There's Smart Recovery. It's a really good Buddhist recovery as well. Sugar, what's it called again? My book is in there. Dharma Recovery. I should know that. I teach a meditation called Dharma. Dharma Recovery. I've got the book on that. It's really good. It's quite like that as well. But if it's anything to do with opiates or painkillers or anything like that, go to the doctor.
Right.
Go to the doctor first, and the doctor can point you in the right directions.
Right. Okay.
Like, I didn't go to the doctor, so, you know, maybe it's
how is that though? Like, go back to the person that prescribed you them in the first place. sort of some form of...
Well, that's the thing, right? So it's like, aye.
I think it's far too easy for people to just pop things now these days as well than actually seek out maybe other kind of alternative.
Yeah, I was a total pill popper. I was the biggest pill popper out. I popped pills all the time. I was known as the pill popper. You know, it was like one of the things. Oh, look, she's popping pills again. Yep, I am. But I was also doing it in secret as well. You know, but tablets, pharmaceuticals, it's just it's hard, man. It's hard, and anyone out there suffering, just go and get the help. And I mean, see these rooms that I was talking about as well. Like, don't get me wrong, like they're amazing. You know, like they can really help you. You know, and the 12-step program is a fantastic program.
Yeah,
and I still I'm not in recovery anymore, but I still take things from when I done the 12-step program, and I apply it into my daily life. It really helped me. Spiritual Gangsters, brilliant place for recovery. It's an undiluted message, and I highly recommend it.
Is that what the place is called?
That's the one I went to. It's like all the Canadians and all that. It's brilliant.
I'm going to need to just have a look for it, just obviously.
And the reason I like that, I think, is because I had such a bad experience in the rooms. And I'm speaking about this in case there's someone listening to this that has also had bad experiences in these other rooms that I'm talking about. Not all bad, just what I spoke about. So the reason I went there is because, you know, I was like, well, hang on a minute. My recovery comes first, not this. I need to look after myself. And I had a lovely, lovely sponsor who I'm still talking to today. She's amazing. And just helped me so much. Me so much, honestly, really. And it wasn't that she helped me. She just passed on what was freely given to her, which is the 12-step program. But as I said, listen, I'm very open-minded. There is a lot more recovery programs than 12 steps. I feel like 12 steps can be quite dated as well, but that's another story.
I'm sure I watch a lot of Russell Brand stuff. I'm sure, love him, by the way. I think he's just one of the most amazing human beings, considering what he's been through and what his wee mission on earth is now. That he always raves about the 12-step program, like always.
Yeah, he's done that, doesn't he? I've read his book and all that. He's brilliant, isn't he? Yeah,
brilliant. So obviously you've probably seen things as well as been through it yourself. So like, how would you go about kind of supporting a family member or a friend that's going through that kind of addiction process and wanting to recover?
If they wanted to recover, I would probably just pass them on take them to a meeting or something like that, or, you know, have these like options, like you just put it into Google, you know, if it's an alcohol addiction, put it into a Google AA. See where the nearest meeting is. There's meetings online. There's meetings in person. And take them to one of them only if they're ready. And there's also other recoveries as well. You know, as I said, smart recovery, Dharma. If you're like it's like a Buddhist practice, there's lots of recovery methods.
Amazing. And another kind of maybe controversial question, but what would you define as an addiction in this day and age? Because I think the line is blurry.
I like that question. I like that. What would I define as an addiction? Anything that's taking you out of your own reality.
And do you think that no, that's totally exactly what I would say as well. And I think there's just so many people that I think they can hold down a job and maybe they're just using on the weekends, but
there is. I mean, there is people that do that. Aye, and
I think it's a hard one, isn't it? And especially now when it's so popular, like drugs are just everywhere.
Everywhere. It's basically grown up in Scotland, right? Like that's all our lifestyle was that. I mean, it really was, like, you know, and don't get me wrong, man, like that craving, when you're an addict, you get a craving, right? Like that craving is still, like, you know, it passed for a while when I done my recovery, but I left and all that. And then, you know, sometimes the craving for things is still there, but I'm so glad I can sit here and say that the craving for the codeine is for today not there. And I'm so grateful for that, man. I'm very grateful that I found the rooms, because, to be honest, apart from that one incident, to be honest, it really did help me a lot, man.
Amazing. No, I really like that answer. Maybe that room being so bad, like in such a negative experience, was the thing that gave you that kick to push you to that place that you loved. Like,
oh, it did. It totally did, by the way. You're so right. That's exactly what happened. It was like, it just gave me that kick to like go, right, I'm done. But you know, I can't, I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm pure clean, because I'm not. I smoke weed now from anyone that's watching this from recovery. I know what you're going to say. She's sick. Right? I am sick, apparently, right? But I've never been spiritually so spiritually well in all my life, actually, now.
There are so many benefits to that.
I'm doing that for medicinal purposes to help my PTSD in small doses. Listen, it's my choice, but I cannot go back to, I can't do a 12-step. I was sponsoring people, but the thing is, in the book, you can't do that when you're, you know, having a joint.
Right, I get it.
It's fair enough, you know what I mean?
Fair enough, but also you're like, come on, like.
I know, but that's why I don't know. You can't. I don't know. Right? It's one of the ones, isn't it? It's like, but do you know what though? Listen, I'm going to say it. The thing is, right? What is the difference between doing that? I know people are watching this going to be like, "That she's so sick." I know that. I hate it when they say that, because I'm not sick. I'm spiritual.
You're not. You're not.
Right? I was bloody sick in that bloody. Anyway.
I kettle of fish, that.
But the thing is a lot of people sit behind the screen popping cocodamol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's normal. And obviously, like that's probably another podcast in itself. Maybe going into the kind of the drugs that even in that kind of spiritual community, people have said, and the science-backed information now that actually can help treat PTSD and all these things. Microdose.
100%, Steph, right? Like, it's funny because for a long time, I kept saying to my mum, you know, I was like, I might actually go back to this, just small doses, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I did. And again, just at small bits. And I'll tell you something, it has totally helped my PTSD from the gas explosion. It has helped me sleep better, like with not having these things, or if I'm smelling something, you know, like a gas smell or whatever, I'm not as triggered as what I was. You know? Wow. But again, it's not anything overdose. I'm not going overboard.
No. There's just like, I've obviously read into it myself. Like, it's actually amazing, like what that can do for your body. Obviously, like mushrooms and weed is like a natural. Do you know what I mean? They've got a lot of benefits. So no, I wouldn't class you sick for, you know, medicinal purposes.
That's what you get called.
Out there. But no, honestly, like, I just thank you so much for this and coming on and sharing your experience. I think it's amazing, and I'm sure a lot of people will take so much from it. And I know a lot of people were like buzzing when I was telling them about this addiction in particular, because it's just, there's just so much of it about. But at least you've brought to light, you know, there's places that can help, and you've come to the other side, and you've done your own healing work. So
I'll send you a wee link, and you can put it on your YouTube for underneath it for a link. People can visit the website if they need help.
Amazing. And like what you just say as well, like where people can reach you for like your services, like where they can find you for like.
Sure, yeah. Meditation Unlocked, Instagram or Facebook, but I'm mostly on Instagram. So meditation _unlocked. So, I just do shamanic healing and meditation teaching. So amazing.
And it is big. I've obviously been witnessed it myself, and it was amazing. So definitely found your talent.
Anyone is sitting there and they are literally like broken, just go to that first meeting, you know, and speak. The hardest thing to do is speak. I was quiet for months, believe it or not. I couldn't talk these meetings. Right. But the first thing to do is just say, hi, I'm new, and just break that power, man. And the minute you do that, you know, people will come around you. And
probably a great way to meet like-minded people and kind of supportive people going through it as well, because sometimes hopefully
that Spiritual Gangsters is fantastic. Very undiluted message from the big book of AA.
That's brilliant. No, but thank you so much, Char, for coming on, and we'll definitely have you back on the next podcast.
Bless you. Thank you for having me, and well done.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye everyone.